We'll never smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some disease. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys, Miss Liz in the house. Yes, we are at a different time, so please tune in and check us out. We have the Nathan Ball coming in all the way in from Western Australia tonight on Tea Time. Tonight we'll be serving his tea. It's teaching entrepreneurship and adventures, and we'll get a little deeper into that tea later into the show. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. We're going to get over to all those platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Lemonade, Blue Sky, all those good platforms, and then jump over to the podcast apps, Podbean, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and the ones that I haven't mentioned, check those ones out too, because Miss Liz is there as well. Check out babyboomers.org, because Miss Liz is partnered with them, and you can find some incredible other podcasts out there if you're looking to be on other different shows as well, so check that out. But tonight we're going to be talking about Cracking the Rich Code. That's the book we're going to be talking about. So I'll have that pulled up so you guys can see what the book looks like and all that good stuff. And Nathan's going to share a little bit about some Shark Tank stuff and all that good stuff. We got a lot of goodies for you. But before we get started, we're going to do a disclaimer and then a beautiful intro. And then we're going to get Nathan in here and we're going to spill his tea. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I'm Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of the discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart. And if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where bold conversations challenge perspectives, spark ideals, and remind us that success is rarely built inside comfort zones. Today's guest brings energy, innovation, resilience, and a fearless approach to entrepreneurship that breaks the mold of traditional business thinking. Please join me in welcoming Nathan Baws, serial entrepreneur, business strategist, author, speaker, and self-described business athlete. Based in Perth, Australia, Nathan has built and scaled more than 19 businesses, some reaching 7 figures and others crashing and burning along the way. What makes his journey powerful is not just the wins, but his openness about his failures, lessons, risk, and reality behind entrepreneurship. From appearing on Shark Tank Australia to setting a Guinness World Record for ice baths, Nathan continues to push limits and challenge conventional ways of thinking. His message is simple. Growth comes from movement, risk, adaptability, and being willing to do things differently. Tonight's Tea Time will explore business growth and innovation, opportunity and creative thinking, resilience through failure, Entrepreneurship Without Limits, the mindset behind becoming a business athlete. Nathan's approach reminds us that success is not about avoiding mistakes, it's about learning how to move through them with purpose, grit, and vision. So grab your cup and get ready for a conversation filled with insight, energy, disruption, and real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. So let me get Nathan in here and spill some tea. Welcome, Nathan.
Thank you, Liz. Thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you. I always like when I have different countries come in because then we get different perspectives.
Absolutely. Do you have your Australian translator on hand here?
I don't, but you know what? We might have a listener that is a translator and who can translate this for all of us.
Might be useful. Lovely.
So Nathan, let's get to know you a little bit before we get into your book and all that good stuff in your tea. So who is Nathan as a little guy and who's Nathan now?
Yeah, I guess I'm a slightly taller version of the little guy that I was, but there's a few things that have grown along the way with. My focus in life is business and family. They're the two big things. And from a very young age, I realized I needed to be in business. I was about 6 years old when I first started in the journey, and learnt a lot of things along the way, tried lots of different businesses along the way. Just obsessed with the idea that you could bring people value and get paid for it. And so I've been in lots and lots of industries, ones that I had no idea about, and realized that it didn't really matter about that. It was about bringing good people together and good people who knew how to run those businesses and adding additional value and solving problems, which I feel entrepreneurship is all about, and creating a commercial outcome from solving people's problems. So that's where I am today from that journey.
So Nathan, did you have that drive since you were a little guy for business, or when did that and what age did that come to you?
Yeah, that kicked in super early. As I say, first business was 6 years old, and that was very much motivation from a lack of financial ability to put food on the plate. So we were eating a lot of potatoes back then, and I realized that at a very young age that potatoes were there to fill the belly but didn't do much for my taste buds, especially when they were repetitively served for months on end every night. So I realized very quickly that mum wasn't able to make the bill payments on her own, and she needed a bit of help. And that's when I first got into a business, and I didn't know about a job, didn't know about anything. I didn't know how to make money. I thought when you make money, it was physically making coins or notes. So that's how much, at that age, about that sort of thing. But soon realized that didn't quite work. So I had to find some other solutions to help with the daily meal.
So Nathan, you said your first business was at 6 years old. What business did you have?
Well, what do you do at 6 years old? What skills do you have?
Newspapers, or did you deliver newspapers?
Well, that was definitely always on the radar. I always thought that would be something great to aspire to. As it happened, the only skill I had back then was making paper airplanes. So that's what I did. I was with my cousin. I was staying on his farm, and I said, mate, Jerem, by the end of this day, I was staying there for a week. And it was really always exciting when I stayed at my cousin's farm, because it meant, first of all, no potatoes, because they didn't really eat potatoes every day. And secondly, I used to like hanging out with my cousin. And I said, mate, by the end of this week, we've got to make some money. And as I say, my first attempt was actually to make coins and notes. So we looked around the farm for something that looked like a coin. And luckily his dad was a big fan of beer, and he had lots of beer caps laying around the farm, and we sort of thought, well, that kind of looks like a coin. So we got our permanent markers out and started writing 20 cents and 50 cents on these little beer caps, and thought we'd just made money for a few minutes, and then realized it probably wasn't it. So we went into the discussion of, well, what are we good at? Maybe something that we're good at we could turn into a business. And as I say, at 6 years old, there's not a lot of things that you're particularly good at that stage. But paper airplanes came up as one of them. And so we set up this shop by the side of on a trestle table by the side of the road in the middle of the country where there was no cars, no traffic, no anything other than cows in the paddock. And they didn't have credit cards on them, so they weren't much use to us. So yeah, we sat up and we learned how not to run a business, and didn't make any money, but gave us a whole bunch of clues about business. And then from there, I did a series of other things. The next thing that I did was breeding earthworms, and that was my first money-making exercise with real money.
Good old earthworms, right?
Yeah. It was funny. I learned all about them. I had no idea. Learned all about them, like in detail, like biologically, what all their biochemistry and all sorts of things was of the body. This is at like 14, and then I gave a speech to a permaculture society on earthworms and educated all these 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds on earthworms and how good they were for their garden. And I sold a whole bunch of them, which was quite cool. I don't know, maybe people pitied me or something, and just get rid of the kid. Here's $20, go away. So yeah, so that was a real one.
Well, Nathan, you created over 19 businesses before you turned 50. So what other kind of businesses did you open up? And tell the listeners how, because people hear business, right? And then they think success. They don't think of, some of them flop, some of them go good. So share a little bit about that.
Yeah, lots of different industries. So I was trained as a naturopath, so natural medicine, and then decided that, ran a bunch of pharmacies. So I learnt under a very, very good pharmacist and a very good entrepreneur. And I ended up managing 8 of his pharmacies, and then went into business off the back of that. So I opened a health shop that did very, very well, and then opened 2 more health shops, and then created a vitamin supplement brand that I sold around Australia, and then went into property in the UK. We were doing creative finance in property. Then came back to Australia and been in a bunch of businesses since then. And things like we run a bookkeeping business now, which was a solution to something that I never had and always wanted from my bookkeepers. I always wanted a bookkeeper who would actually do the bookkeeping, but also help me grow my business, because I thought that was a natural progression of what a bookkeeper should do. As it turned out, they never did. So I thought, well, stuff this, I'll build the business that I've always wanted as a service. And now we offer bookkeeping with business growth at very, very economical rates, because it's everything I always wanted. So that was that. And then I've done restaurants. I opened 3 restaurants. 2 of them really failed badly and lost a lot of money, and learned a lot of lessons, which was fantastic, which I apply to every other business. We currently run one of my main businesses is called Tommy Sugo, which we do. We manufacture pasta. I was on Shark Tank for that one, and that one does pretty well. What else do we do? A weight loss program in Indonesia. We're setting up in a couple of hotels over in Bali. And yeah, a bunch of other things along the way that have had some good successes and some pretty average outcomes as well. So it's a journey.
Well, Nathan, tell me a little bit about Tommy Sugo, because I watched that video and that was a deep pitch with those sharks. Like, they were biting.
Yeah, they had sharp teeth. Yeah. And they can either spit you out with a decent outcome, or they can spit you out chewed up fully. So luckily for us, for whatever reason, they decided to give us a good edit, because it could go either way. I mean, we filmed it for 45 minutes, and out of that time, there's a lot of grueling questions, a lot of uncomfortable moments, but for whatever reason, they decided to give us a good cut, a good edit, and at the end of it, actually 2 sharks gave us an offer, although you only see one of them on TV. So it just makes you realize how much they influence the way it's going and the storyline. And it's quite funny because they cut and paste reactions from different questions that aren't actually related to those questions, but they, for the whole theatricals of it all, they put it all together. But it was great. It was another way that we created some free organic, media around what we were doing, and we figured it was probably worth about $100,000 for as far as visibility and brand recognition, and it's something now that often people say, oh, you're on Shark Tank. And it just gives that a level of knowledge and trust straight away to a customer when they're purchasing. So it was definitely a worthwhile event.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my toes. Are they going to get it? Are they not going to get it? I could see your face. I was just like, oh no. But they do that, right? They take out things and they edit stuff and they make people see it in a different light. So
Totally.
like you said, there was 2 sharks that made a deal. There was one that I seen and I was just like, oh, this is juicy. This is good. Like, are they going to get it or they're not going to get it? So it makes you want to watch it to the end, the way that they did do the edit. So it was good.
Yeah. They're great at building suspense and the music and the long pauses. They put it all in, which is that's fine. It's all part of it.
Absolutely. Well, we have a question that just came in for you, Nathan. It is, how did Nathan overcome failure while building businesses?
Yeah, that was definitely a big part of my learning curve. And I think when you see it as that way, it is just a learning curve. It doesn't define who you are. So you can be stopped and defined as, oh, you're a total failure, or you can go, all right, well, actually there's a bunch of lessons here. There's a huge amount of lessons. You can throw in the towel and say, I quit, I give up, take my house, or you can say, well, this is, I'm not giving in. This is part of the journey. I just have to knuckle down. At that stage, we were losing 10 to 20 grand a month. And when I had restaurants, and I realized that wasn't the way to go. You couldn't survive that for too long. So there was other aspects of my business at the time. I was doing farmers markets and I was doing these pop-up shops in shopping centers. And they were working really, really well. So I thought, right, I've got to double down, triple down in the successful parts of the business and spend more of my time on that. And then I got to a stage where I thought, right, I have to draw a line in the sand here, and I have to actually look at closing 1 or 2 of these non-performing businesses down, because I could possibly get through it. I could possibly, put all my energy into it and change things around eventually, because as an entrepreneur, you never like to fail. So I could possibly put all my time and effort into it, but why? If I shut it down and double down on all my other things that are working well, then that's the way to go. So eventually my stubborn brain gave in and realized that it was much better to draw a line in the sand, step over that line and say, okay, what's next? Let's learn from it and move forwards. So that was the strategy there.
Well, we got a question here from you from Golf Tips, and thank you for tuning in for the first time. I always like first-time listeners and how you guys feel about tea time. What was the biggest lesson learned from Shark Tank Australia for you, Nathan?
I think it was all related around to knowing your numbers. That was really, really essential. We had to really brush up on our numbers, because you see a lot of people go in and get unwound when the sharks are asking for the financials. And a lot of people don't know their financials of their businesses. Again, that's partly why we created the Numberfied, which is the bookkeeping and business growth concept. Thinking on your toes, you really have to know your numbers to be able to respond in a positive manner. They were probably the lessons.
What message would you give to somebody who would like to pitch to these sharks?
I think it's fantastic. It's a great experience. It's a little bit daunting at times. It's a fantastic way to promote your business, know your numbers really well, and understand, do you want investors or do you want publicity? And if it's just the publicity angle, don't go in too hard, because they'll just massacre you. You see people going in, I'll give you 3% of my business for $100 million. and it's kind of it puts the sharks off straight away. So it's got to be semi-realistic.
Well, I seen when they offered 51%, the face, right? Oh, because 51 is you're kind of losing your business because they got
Absolutely.
that extra 1%, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, "Ooh, is he going to come back with a counter offer of 50%?" I was hoping you were coming back with that 50% because I was just like, "No, Nathan, please, 50-50."
And that's all part of the negotiation, aspect of it. And it's good to be able to, I love negotiating. And I mean, yes, I only dropped it back 1% to 50%. Rather than 51, but I think it's still really, really important to maintain level control, not have someone in control of that. So that's what we ended up with, 50-50. Oops, just gave away the punchline.
And anybody that would like to check out your Shark Tank video, they can find that on your website as well. And it's a 13, almost 14-minute video, but it's worth watching, guys. I'm telling you, to keep you on your toes. It kept Miss Liz on her toes. We have a comment here for you from it's Makla. Amazing live show with so much energy and motivation. Nathan's story is a powerful reminder that success comes from resilience, action, and learning through failure. Really enjoying this conversation. We have a question here from Mario for you, Nathan, is how important is mindset in building successful businesses?
Huge. A lot of people that say that it's not involved, I think I've often seen them go through a lot of challenges and slow the business down. From my perspective, I kind of see it as becoming a business athlete. I kind of like to bring in the whole package, whether it's mindset, physical health, or business tools and systems. And I think those three go together to get a strong package and to become very resilient to the road bumps that come along the road, because in business it's totally inevitable. You will be jumping over hurdles and you will have challenges on a daily basis. So I think it's really, really important, the mindset side of it. And what I love to do there is focus on the dopamine creation. As my background's in health, there's a big focus on the biochemistry of the body. And I feel that there's a great way of bringing in, adapting, tweaking the biochemistry to really help give you that edge in business. And everything I do, funny enough, whether it's my health or mindset, it's all related to how is that going to help me in business. Of course, it has some lovely other benefits in your life, improving your health. But so dopamine is a really big part of my day. So I do things like cold water therapy and jumping in the ocean every morning. Whether it's 0 degrees outside or it's a hot sunny day, doesn't really matter. It's all about stimulating that release of dopamine, and that sets you up very successfully for the day and helps with, for me, it's all about the business growth, getting in the right mindset, being happy, being uplifted, so that when, I like to do a lot of joint ventures with a lot of different people. That's one of my focuses, and that's how I grow my businesses. And people want to be around people they like and that are inspired and have a good energy. You never are drawn to, most people aren't drawn to negativity unless you're, I guess, that way focused yourself. So being in a good frame of mind, I find very, very useful for dealing with people and moving people out of a negative state into a positive state, moving people forwards in business, moving people forwards in life, as you need them to go if you're planning on doing some stuff with them. So,
well, Nathan, you talked about your ice plunges. Let's talk about the Guinness Book record. How did you get that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of us actually. So we did an ice bath in Perth, and it was the biggest ice bath in the world. So there's about, I think, 500 or 600 of us, and we all did it down the beach. And there was the Guinness Book of Records there adjudicating the process. But to me, that was just really part of that process of okay, the focus is on dopamine. Other people as well, it's very uplifting. Dopamine gets raised by about 230, 240% for a couple of hours after an ice bath. when you do it for 3 minutes. So it has a huge impact on your well-being, and that was just part of that journey of focus of getting the dopamine levels right. Yeah.
So Nathan, how old were you when you did your first ice plunge?
That was just a couple of years ago. So I've been doing cold water therapy, as in beach, through all year round. So it doesn't get too cold in Perth, but the lowest temperature we get to is 0 degrees in winter. So that's cold enough to get the blood pumping or contracting out of your body. Yeah, but it's fantastic. You feel incredible once you've done it. Absolutely amazing. You know, when you're the only one down the beach and it's raining and hailing and the waves are really rough and there's no one else around, that's when I find it's like, wow, this is a great sense of achievement. No one else is mad enough to be here, so I must be doing something right or wrong.
Well, you know, being a businessman, you got to be mad sometimes, right? You got to get in the wave and you got to just jump and you got to enjoy the ride.
Yeah. And I think, Liz, that's what it's all about, changing your perspective on things and to make it suit you, because there's a lot of crap that goes on a daily basis that is quite negative and challenging. And if we have the ability to reinterpret that as something positive and good and a learning curve and all those sort of positive connotations that we can put with it, then surely that's got to serve us better than, you know, huddling up in the fetal position and crying about it. So it's the perspective that we choose that can determine your, you know, how quickly you get on to the next task, or how slowly, or the fact that you just stop and give up.
I like, you know, and I like having guests like you on, Nathan, because we bring the different perspectives of business, right? You show the failure, you show the success, you show the struggle, and, you know, jumping into a bunch of different things. Like you got like bookkeeping, health management, pharmacy, cooking, you know, like there's so much different avenues that you jumped into, which comes into this question here that came in from Damian. What was Nathan's toughest business challenge to overcome?
Yeah, I think it was when I was in the restaurants, and at the end of the day, the restaurants, I had 3 of them, and they would all send me end of day reports, and I would go from being happy with the family to reading these reports of disaster, and just my mood would change very, very quickly. So I think that was my biggest challenge to overcome, those challenges, that negativity, and at that time I wasn't working. It was just really about survival, business survival, and I didn't have all the additional tools. I wasn't working on the dopamine and the cold water. I wish I was, because I could have handled it a lot better. But I was very gritty and I wasn't giving up. So we needed to find solutions, and we eventually did. And the good thing is there's always a solution out there. Like whenever we have a problem, I think it's really interesting to understand that you're not the first person with that problem on the planet. And the chances are someone has solved it successfully previously. So it's just a question of looking for that solution and, you know, collaborating with people who know how to fix that problem and get working the way through it.
We have a question here from Agar. What daily habits help Nathan stay in a flow state?
Yeah, flow state's awesome. That's what I love. That's what I always try and focus on being in. So it's just a very useful way of staying optimized for business outcomes. And as I say, everything I refer to is business, but it's good for every aspect of life, even if you're not in business. It's good for relationships. It's good for your job. It's good for everything. So so things that I really focus on, as I say, cold water therapy. Eating well is really important. I focus on a ketogenic diet. I've been on that for about 6 years. Very, very strict. And it's easy for me to be strict with that because I just feel the benefits. And when you feel the benefits and you're assisted by it and it helps you and it helps me achieve my outcomes, which is higher energy for longer periods of time, so I can deliver better business results. Again, back to business. Then yeah, that's very important. And being in ketosis is a very useful biochemical state to optimize the brain function and the clarity and the energy and the motivation. All those things spin off the back of the release of ketones in your body. So yeah, cold water, ketogenic diet, exercise, and movement of the body, and the mindset, putting positive stuff, trying to eliminate any negativity around you. They're probably focus points.
Well, Nathan, I want to get into your tea that you gave me, because I think it's really interesting. The tea that you gave me was teaching, sharing actionable marketing and insight. And then for your E was entrepreneurship, building and growing businesses in the digital age. And then adventure, exploring new ideals, experimenting, and pushing boundaries. Let's start with the T first, and then E, and then the A.
Yeah, sorry. The T for, sorry, which one?
The T was sharing actionable marketing and insights. So let's start with that one, and then we'll go to the E, and then we'll go to the A.
Marketing. Yeah, sorry, the marketing insights. Yeah, I mean, marketing is a huge part of any business. And it's all about, and I feel people work too much in their business and not enough on their business. And it's a very, very important differentiating factor to the success and the growth of the business. So we all get involved transactionally in businesses, and when you're running a business, and it's just too easy to stay as an operational position in a business and with your head down, bum up, working very, very hard. And what we need to start thinking about is how we can move into a growth phase of the business, where we're actually working on the business, doing the marketing, doing the promotional activities, doing things like I'm doing right now, right? Getting more exposure. And for a long period of time, I was just in that operational position, and I thought, well, we've got to actually build me as a brand, which means that I can tag other businesses along and bring along those businesses in the journey. So getting that visibility, doing the marketing, I really focus on very much lead generation. Lead generation for me is so important. In fact, we just this week are launching a very exciting AI voice agent, which does cold calling, and we'll be releasing that this week for some of my own businesses, and testing it out and seeing what that does. And that's pretty exciting. So anything related to lead generation for me is the number one process of any business for the marketing side of things.
And Nathan, what is the hardest marketing for you? Is it the exposure? Is it the marketing with others? What's the hardest part of the marketing for you?
I think the hardest part was learning the fact that I need to do more marketing and not knowing where to start. And my focus is always on free organic marketing. So I don't like spending money. I think that originates from my potato consuming days. We didn't have much funds there to start with. So when you have a lack of resources, it's always an opportunity to get more resourceful and find ways of. So that's why the Shark Tank. We've done some guerrilla marketing stunts in the past, which have got phenomenal results. We do a lot of email marketing, which still works really well. It's free. We do a lot of direct messaging in social media, and that works really good to reach out to people and get responses. A lot of it's around building an amazing offer. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with their marketing. They don't have an incredible offer that's very, very hard to say no to and very easy to say yes to. And creating that attractive offer is 90% of the outreach strategy. So we want an offer that becomes an absolute no-brainer, and people just go, oh my God, that's amazing. I have to call this company. So yeah, there's a lot of vanilla out there. There's a lot of boring energy that people, it feels like they they don't even try. They go through the motions of marketing, but there's no passion or soul involved, and people just feel that, and it's just another message that just washes over and doesn't get any traction. So that offer is really, really key.
So Nathan, what unique kind of marketing skills do you use to bring people to your table?
My favorite one is joint ventures. Excuse me. Yeah, joint ventures are amazing. Absolutely love them. Took me ages to get my head around what a joint venture actually entailed. I first heard of them from a mentor I had years ago, and I thought, yeah, this sounds incredible. It just sounds exactly what I want to do, because it's all about creating win-win-win opportunities. So your customer wins, your joint venture partner wins, and you win. So if you can get those three aligned outcomes and with creative thinking, then you can put together an amazing offer, and you can put together a very quick database. So it's about tapping into other people's databases that already exist, that are your ideal client in a non-related field. And the more creative you can get with that non-related field means that the offer will come through with so much more value and so much more uniqueness. So it's all about creating that offer, joint venturing, partnering with someone that everyone's going to get a win out of, in an unexpected way, in an unexpected manner, and it's quite unique in that respect. And it's free. You can do it, and you can scale your business literally in 7 days in a massive way. And you're not just limited to that one joint venture. Once you've set up the foundations of a great joint venture, you can then go and replicate that in as many partners as you can and have them all ticking along synergistically. It's absolutely amazing. In fact, I'm working on a book and a course, because I just feel so strongly about the fact that, and no one's really doing it. It's a free marketing exercise. It's a free business growth strategy, which just works so quickly, and no one's really talking about it. So it's
well, nobody's talking about the free stuff. Everybody's talking about the stuff where it's cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Right. And being a bit of a tight ass, I look much more for the free ones.
Right. There's so much opportunity out there that people are missing because they're looking at the dollar sign, when there's so many free opportunities out there that people are just blindsided by because they're so focused on the dollar sign.
There's a lot more noise coming in from the dollar signs. So, everyone's doing it. But a lot of the time, the organic stuff can be more powerful. You just have to be a little bit more skilled and knowledgeable about it, because you'll try it first and it might not succeed. So you have to tweak and adapt.
Well, you just got to keep trying, right? You got to keep trying and getting back up there. It's like the pitch, right, from Shark Tank. You just got to keep pitching until you get it.
Yeah.
We have a question here from Bob for you. Is what inspired the ideal of opportunity alchemy? Am I saying that right?
Alchemy. No. Yeah, opportunity alchemy. Yeah, that's all involved in creating opportunities, and it's like when you're thinking about buying a particular car, and you see that car everywhere. It just all of a sudden it appears on your radar, and it never did before. So opportunity alchemy is all about creating opportunities for you, being in the right aspect of your mind and your chemistry and your energetic cycle to actually attract and open up those opportunities to you. Dopamine for me is a really key part of being in flow and creating those opportunities. People will say different times, oh, that person's so lucky. They've had amazing luck and they've grown a crazy business, or they've, met the woman or man of their dreams, or whatever it is, they're lucky. Well, I don't really think so. I feel we can stack that in our favor, and there's very much steps that we can do to take to process those opportunities and create those opportunities. And dopamine for me, again, is, I keep harping on about it, but it's one of those things that puts you in that energetic flow state, that you start being more receptive. Dopamine actually increases your awareness. And with better awareness, you can see better opportunities. And with your energy being high, people wanting to be around you, then that's the opportunities that can come in. It's quite amazing when you put yourself in that situation and you start looking for opportunities and you start seeing more and you start having the right conversations and attracting the right people to you. And, it's just a flow. From there on, you can achieve some quite interesting outcomes with that big process.
Absolutely. Nathan, I'm a strong believer that they'll find you if you're doing it right. Like you found me. I didn't find you. Nathan found me. So I was doing something right on tea time. So I just want to put this comment out here that someone shared. Not your average investor shared. Thank you for hosting such an inspiring conversation tonight. The combination of entrepreneurship, resilience, and mindset advice is in this live is incredible, valuable, and motivating. And this is people to the table, so we can educate you guys through different T's and all that. So we're going to get into the E now of your T, Nathan. And the E was entrepreneurship, building and growing business in the digital age. And I want to talk to you about the children's entrepreneurship as well, because I know that you offer something on the website.
Yeah, I do a lot of training for kids, particularly. They're always fun to work with and they're very receptive to it. So I do a lot of coaching at schools and sharing the entrepreneurial journey that I've been through to hopefully motivate kids into looking at alternative pathways for school. It's very much, schools are very much structured to channel kids down into the job world. And I want to have a bit more inspiration for them to share, to get hold of, and excitement. Like I want to show business as a good thing. So I spend a lot of time at schools, presenting to schools about the entrepreneurial mindset and the exciting things that you can achieve, and the fact that we can start solving lots of problems around the world, because there's a truckload of problems everywhere right now, and we need entrepreneurial thinking more than ever. And we're building something called Flair School, which is an educational business that trains school kids during school it stands for financial literacy and real world education. And it's about financially training the kids and on finances and also entrepreneurship, so that it just opens their eyes, because so many people say that they've come out of school without useful skills to solve problems with their finances later on in life.
Absolutely.
So we're just launching that in a couple of schools in Perth now. So actually open to launching that with anyone anywhere, because it's going to be hugely valuable.
Well, I found on your website you got Profitopilia Kids Business Builder, and people can purchase that. So what is that, Nathan?
Profitopia is all about just the basics of training kids on business growth and entrepreneurship. So we did that in response to when we go into schools and kids want more and the school doesn't necessarily offer it, so they can come and get it with us, and we love to coach kids and get them inspired through that.
And we're going to get into the last of your T, and your A is adventure, exploring new ideas, experimenting, and pushing boundaries. Why'd you give me that for your A?
It was all about, you've got to experiment. There's so much opportunity out there. There's ridiculous amounts of opportunity when it comes to business. Again, there's loads of problems, and we have to, the better the solution we can make, the better the reward that will come off the back end of that. So, trying new things, asking the right questions is all part of that. And I feel a lot of people go through life just with their blinkers on and not really thinking outside of the box, and not asking those questions like, well, how can I do it? Or how can we achieve what this crazy idea. It's very often that people will just close their mindset to opportunities based on, just that rhetoric that's in their brain saying, "Oh, I can't do this. Oh, that's impossible," all that negativity. So, how changing the way we think and the way we ask questions and going more into, well, how can I achieve what I want to achieve? Then it all of a sudden opens up new neural pathways in your brain, and you start thinking, and your brain starts bringing in solutions if we phrase it in the right way to start with. So the adventure side is, all about that, all about thinking differently and finding what new adventures we can bring into our life that can fulfill us and can give us a purpose and solve a lot of problems and get rewarded for it.
Well, Nathan, I'm going to pull up your book now that you sent me. Let's talk about this book. So what's Cracking the Rich Code? What's that all about?
Yeah, so this is actually off the back of a podcast that I did a while back. Excuse me. Some of the guys asked me, they called me after and said, "Oh, look, we write a book. We're putting together a book with Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy. And would you be interested in writing a chapter? You've got some strange things to say." I said, "Yeah, that sounds interesting." So I just wrote a chapter in that, and my sister also wrote a chapter in it because she's very much focused on. She's in the entrepreneurial space as well, and she does a lot of property in the US and helps a lot of people out in the property world. And so my chapter was on business growth and dopamine. So the key fundamentals that I use every day in growing businesses, and also what we can do to bring dopamine into our brains, into our life to help with that growth in the business side. So yeah, that's available on the website if anyone's interested in that one.
Well, thank you for sharing that book with me. I always like hearing stories because those chapters in anthology books tell you it's only a couple of pages. So if you're not a big reader, you can read it within a couple of pages, and yet you know a lot about somebody. I really just enjoy having conversations with all walks of life because you learn so much, and you learn different ways of educating yourself, financing yourself, serving your business, bringing that to the table and to all the listeners out there. We have a question here now from Michael. What success moment made Nathan the proudest so far?
When it comes to my business life, other than family and children coming along, when it comes to the business life, probably when I had an exit, a seven-figure, my first seven-figure exit from the health industry. At that stage, I'd sold up 3 health shops and a vitamin brand, and things were pretty cool. And I decided, well, I've done that. What's next? And I went to England and did some property, and that worked out okay. And then I came back, and I thought restaurants would be a good thing. But life is really good. It has a way of keeping you very balanced and smacks you in the face pretty quickly when you get a bit cocky about things. So that was pretty good too. I got that nice slap in the face and kept my feet on the ground. So I guess they say the more turbulent things are, what goes up must come down. So I try and aim for a little bit more balance in my outlook these days.
We have another question for you from Real Estate with Kate. What's one mindset shift that changed Nathan's life the most?
I think the ability to reinterpret things to my benefit was huge on that radar. So, I realized very quickly that we're going to go through some turbulent times, and it's the way we adapt and re-anchor those things in our brain to benefit us. There is no blueprint in life. There's no way that we're supposed to do things. I feel we're told different things, and we learn different ways of doing it from our family and society and things. We learn how to react and respond to different events. But I feel that if we can actually be in control of those reactions and those responses, and be in control and dictate and decide how we're going to react or respond, rather than society tells you to cry when this happens, society tells you to be happy when this happens. What if we could shift that dynamic and say, well, does that serve me? And if not, how can I shift it to my benefit? So what if every time someone came up and yelled at you and argued with you and abused you, I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen too many times, but as an extreme case, what if when that happened, you responded in a totally different way? You responded, and I'm not saying I can do this or I've mastered it at this stage, but what if we could say, all right, in a loving way, look, I can understand you going through a bit of pain here. How can I help you? What difference could that make to the outcome and to you and to serving you better? So, in a situation where you get a disgruntled customer, you've got an opportunity to see it in a different light, to see your business in a different way, to see potentially the problems that may exist there. And you've got an amazing opportunity to turn a customer around into a raving advocate, a massive fan. I think stacking things in your favor can be a really good focus on the mindset there.
Well, Nathan, I got some lightning bolt questions here for you. So if you want to just give me some quick answers to them, and then I'm going to get your final message to everybody, because the time is just flying by tonight. Like we just started and we're almost at the end. So the first lightning bolt one I have for you is one word that defines your journey, Nathan.
Fun.
Do you want to tell us why it's fun?
Yeah, because everything that I do has to be fun. So every experience that it has to come from a fun state. If it's not, I won't do it. If it's not, I won't stick to it. I won't follow it through. So for me, I know how I work best. And if something doesn't excite me and keep me interested and just keep me really, really pumped at an opportunity, then it's off my radar very quickly. So that's how I find I can do very long days, because I will only do things that I really, really enjoy. And there's always people around, there's other team members around that will take care of those bits that aren't enjoyable. And that's what I like to do. So I can stay in that highly optimized state where every day is just fun. Like, one meeting after the next. Those meetings I'll only do if it's moving us forwards and I see a fun side to it. And I will actually, again, tweak. This is not a one-word answer now. Sorry about that. But I will also tweak that in my favor, so that so if I'm not enjoying something and I know I still have to do it, I'll look for a fun aspect of it. I'll look for where is that fun bit that I can enjoy through the process. So
you kind of find that little twist in the lemon to bring the fun in.
And it gets you through. Yeah. Actually, again, not a one answer. My son taught me this really well. We were going to karate when he was little. He was about 7. And he didn't like it. And I knew it was good for him. So we kept persisting. And there was always arguments. And then one day he said, "Come on, Papa, let's go to karate. I can't wait." And I said, "What? What are you talking about? Where did my son go? What did you do with him?
Where's my kid?"
Yeah. And he said, yeah, I want to get to karate. I want to go. And I said, "What are you talking about, mate? What's going on?" And he said, I said, "Why the sudden change?" He said, "Oh, I'm thinking it about like it's a lolly shop. I want to get to the lolly shop. So I've changed the way I'm looking at it." And I said, "Oh my God." I'm writing that down. That's
He's running there now.
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, we got to look for the fun in things. How can we change things? Because it's just a matter of attitude.
Well, you're showing the example too, right? Let's bring some fun. Like, oh, this is going to be boring. Well, where's the fun in it? Where can we find the fun in it?
Yeah. Let's look under the rocks.
So now karate is running to the lolly shop.
Yeah. It did last for a while. Unfortunately, it didn't sustain itself, but it was good while it lasted.
Well, that's good. It's nice to know that children find that different perspective as well when they don't like something. They give it a different try, right?
Yeah, lovely to see.
So, Nathan, are you a risk taker or a safety player? What builds you more?
Definitely safety. Definitely safety. I've done some silly risk taking in the past, and I think any entrepreneur will tell you that it is all about safety. It's all about smart decisions based on your research, based on your gut feel that's created from years of experience. So I think most entrepreneurs want to minimize their risk, maximize their rewards. So that would be a smart way, I would suggest, of playing it.
And what does success feel like for you?
Yeah, I'll let you know when I get there. So
19 businesses, not there yet.
not there yet. No. I've got some certain figures in mind that success looks like number wise, and I think it's a journey. I get little boosts of dopamine throughout the day with business every time we close a new client or create a new opportunity, whatever it is. They're little successful moments, but the big picture is I'm still in the process. It's still a work in process.
So he hasn't found success yet, guys.
I have to start taking more wins and appreciation, and gratitude is huge. Like I'm very can't even say the word, very gracious, grateful. That's the word.
Grateful.
Very grateful for a lot of things. But for where my goals are set, we're still in the progress of the process.
Well, it kind of goes into the next question I have for you. What a failure you're grateful for?
Oh, sorry. I think we just glitched. I missed that question.
Oh, a failure you're grateful for. Because we don't talk about failures, right? We only talk about success. But failures are also a part of the growth.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we touched on the restaurants that they were losing a lot of money. I wouldn't take that away. I wouldn't take that out of my life if I had a magic wand and the option to remove it. That failure or learning process or learning curve is part of my smarter moves now, thinking things through a lot better, doing my research a lot better, doing my due diligence more thoroughly. And so that plays a big part, and wouldn't avoid it. It's part of the journey.
And what does make it happen mean to you, Nathan?
I think that's a big part of my focus, like asking the question, how can we make it happen? And let's just make it happen. So getting the results, what can we do that gets the results today? What action do we have to take now, immediately? And let's make it happen. Let's get the results we're after. That's a big thing.
And Nathan, do you have any events or anything that you'd like to share with the audience tonight, and your final message to everybody?
Look, if anyone is as crazy focused as I am on business and wants a bit of help, we collaborate on a monthly basis and just hang out, no costs or anything, and help each other with businesses and find ways of potentially collaborating. So just a little group of us that like to help each other in that way and talk about business things. So you can register on the website if you're interested. And also I've got a very simple joint venture free course there, because I think everyone should get into that. It's so cool. It's a great way of growing your business. That's on the website as well.
And what's your final message for everybody tonight?
Look, I think passion is really, really important in anything you do. Find the fun in things, and then the passion follows. And if you can enjoy things, we're in a very vanilla world. There's a lot of problems out there. People are doing things with blinkers on, and bringing a bit of passion into it, and using all the tools that we have in our toolbox, like optimizing our health and our mindset and learning about business growth. All these things are fantastic to to enjoy the journey and the process so much more.
Well, thank you so much, Nathan. Thank you for joining me tonight all the way from Australia. Miss Liz always loves bringing in different countries because then can get in different perspectives, right? Not just Canada, not just US, but we get all. Going to do a quick wrap up of what tonight's tea time was, and I will be back on Thursday with 2 more tea times. What an energizing and eye-opening conversation tonight. Nathan, thank you for bringing your honesty, humor, and entrepreneur fire to the tea time table. Your journey reminds people that business is not always polished success stories and highlight reels. Sometimes it is risk, uncertainty, setbacks, rebuilding, and choosing to keep going anyway. Tonight, we talked about opportunity, innovation, resilience, and thinking differently in a world where many people are taught to stay safe rather than stay curious. One of the strongest takeaways from tonight's tea time conversation is this: failure is not the opposite of success. Often it is the training ground for it. Nathan openly shared the importance of learning through experience, taking action, building strong teams, and staying adaptable in changing times. His business athlete mindset reminds us that growth requires discipline, endurance, recovery, and the willingness to evolve. Here's some food for thought to leave with everyone tonight. What opportunities might appear in your life if you stop waiting to feel completely ready? Because sometimes the people who change the world are simply the ones willing to try when others hesitate. Thank you, Nathan, for reminding the listeners that innovation starts with courage and that doing different often creates different results. Until next time, keep growing, keep challenging limits, and keep serving real life teas one conversation at a time. And I'll see everybody on Thursday. We'll do this all over again.
Thanks, Liz.